happy to be here and share some information with you all. So again, my name is Rosie Gomez, and I work at the Children's Bureau. And for those that are not aware of the Children's Bureau, we really focus on a spectrum of child welfare. So everything from preventing child abuse to protecting children from abuse to finding permanent homes for children who cannot return home. The Children's Bureau has been around for 100 years, over 100 years. We celebrated our 100th anniversary back in 2012. It was started by President Taft back in 1912. So my office focuses more on prevention, and that's why we do have the lead for the National Child Abuse Prevention Month. So if we go to the next slide. So why is this month so important? And basically every year the President proclaims April as National Child Abuse Prevention Month. This has been happening since 1983, and as you can see from these statistics, it's very clear why we need a National Child Abuse Prevention Month, to make people aware of the issue and give them resources and information for how they can help. So as you can see, in federal fiscal year 2012, more than 600,000 children were victims of child abuse and neglect. And then 50 states reported that children under the age of 3, what a high percent of children were victims there. And then 20% of our victims were in the age group from 3 to 5. And part of National Child Abuse Prevention Month, is part of the proclamation that the President gave this year, was he always gives a new charge. And he really focused on 3 things this year: building awareness, strengthening response to child abuse, and translating science to research. As you can see on this next page, building awareness, and this kind of just goes deeper into child abuse. More than 3/4 were victims of neglect, which is really high. 18.3% were physically abused. 9.3% were victims of sexual abuse. And then of child fatalities, 69.9% suffered neglect either exclusively or in combination. And from the reports that came into the states, and then the states report to our child maltreatment report, over 348,000 of these reports came from education professionals. And we really wanted to emphasize the importance that teachers have in children's everyday lives. When almost 400,000 of these reports comes from teachers, obviously you're seeing children every day and you have a different glimpse into their lives. So as you can imagine, no system can be the sole system for preventing child abuse and neglect. You know, the child welfare system is there to try to protect and respond, but everybody does play their part and has a responsibility. And we all know that the causes of child abuse and neglect are really complex, but schools can be an important partner in preventing and addressing child abuse and neglect. You know, I think sometimes many people want to be part of the effort but are not sure how, or need to be reminded of the importance that they can play. And that's why we really wanted to be part of this webinar, to give you some more resources and to give you some more ideas about what you could be doing. So again, it's important that communities work together to prevent child abuse and neglect, but also to promote social and emotional well-being of children. So this is really important. And to help families make meaningful connections. And we'll talk a little bit about what this meaningful connections is, because it is the theme of our national conference this year. But really, not only connecting with the children every day, but making these connections meaningful and making your connections with families meaningful.
Okay. Hi, everyone. This is Sharon McKinley, and I'm with Child Welfare Information Gateway. We are a service of the Children's Bureau. We have a website, which you will get a chance to kind of glimpse at that in a few minutes. But we provide a variety of support and services from child abuse and neglect to foster care, adoption, to substance abuse, anything that's related to child welfare. And so the importance of teachers is obviously vital, because we've realized that children need to have a positive relationship with adults, and teachers are normally the positive person in their lives. And it can help them to bounce back from any type of sometimes trauma that might be going on in their lives if they have a connection with a positive adult. And so this is the reason why it's so important that you are a part of their being. We realize also the fact that teachers spend most of the time with them. In researching this, we realize that children are in school 6 hours a day, and that you all spend probably more than 1,600 hours per year with the children. So you're able to see, what's going on and can look at some of the signs, some of the symptoms that some of the children are going through.
So as I mentioned, this meaningful connections theme, I wanted to go a little bit more in depth with it. So this making meaningful connections is taken from the National Conference on Child Abuse and Neglect, and this is led by my office every couple of years. And actually this year it's going to be in New Orleans next week. So I don't know if any of you are planning to go or are registered, but it is a great conference to attend, and we're going to be having some people, they can call in to certain webinars. So if you're not able to attend in person, you can online. So when we make meaningful connections with children and youth, we provide them with a sense of safety, security, and well-being. When we make these meaningful connections with parents, we give them the support they need to raise happy and healthy children. And then when we make meaningful connections with families and communities as a whole, we promote overall family well-being, we strengthen our communities, and both of these are effective means of preventing child abuse and neglect. So again, what does this mean? So it means connecting with families, reaching out to them, providing support to children before abuse and neglect occurs, engaging parents and caregivers to determine what do they need and if you know of an appropriate agency. And then also partnering with other systems, health and mental health, social services, so that everybody's on the same page and sharing resources. You know, I remember when I was a child protection caseworker years ago, I had a family, the mother had 5 children, and 3 of the children were taken out of the home because of educational neglect and medical neglect, and then 2 of the little ones went to live with their father. And when we were going through the case plan, I remember telling the mother, you know, we have their parent-teacher conferences coming up. I think it's really important if you go. And she said that she had never attended a parent-teacher conference before. And I said, no problem. You know, I'll pick you up at 6 o'clock. We'll go down there. You'll be able to meet their teachers. And she was very nervous about it all. Again, she had never been to one, and she was not very comfortable being in crowds of people. But the experience for her was really profound. So we went and we sat down with each teacher, and the teachers praised her for what a wonderful mother, you know, she was being a wonderful kid she had. And she hadn't heard that in a long time, and she hadn't heard really good things about her kids in a long time because there were a lot of problems. But also the teachers gave her some information about how they could work together better. And to me, the story, we got out of there and she just had a really big smile on her face, and she felt really comfortable about what she needed to do next. And eventually the kids were returned to her, and the next year she did attend the parent-teacher conferences again. But this is a good example of how each of the teachers really made an effort to connect with her and how it was a positive impact on her and her family.
So we realize that across this nation, there are highly skilled, trained, and compassionate educators who are working with our children and the parents. And so we just wanted to, we're probably preaching to the choir as we are talking about some of these things on here, but we want to talk about how you all can connect with parents and caregivers, and some of these might look familiar to you. For example, bringing and a community representative at your parent-teacher and student association meetings to speak on child abuse and neglect, because sometimes, you know, parents may not always get the information elsewhere, but it might be appropriate to probably share this type of information during that period of time. And then also, using parent-teacher conference time to connect and listen and encourage the parent caregiver, as Rosie just talked about, is very important, not only to encourage the child, but also to probably connect with the parent, because you never know what they're going through. So that can have an impact on the child when the child comes to school every morning, and they're bringing their I guess the worries and the cares that the parents might have going on in the household to the classroom. And so it's very important to connect with that parent to find out, if everything is okay. Providing community-based family mentoring services for the children, and sometimes even for the parents. And then hosting a parent-led community-wide Parents' Day. I recall working in Maryland, and we had a Parents' Day, and we had a variety of different community organizations to come in and to share what type of resources they had, and it was very helpful for them. And we had it in the multi-purpose room where they could spread out, but it was very helpful for the parents in that community to come together and see what resources were available that would help them in their daily lives. Another one is to organize workshops to teach parents how to access services. I know that sometimes these are things that maybe usually child welfare or social services can do, but if you have a community connection, you can probably combine and have those type of workshops there. And then create opportunities for parents to volunteer in after-school programs or mentoring programs, that sort of thing. And then also, we ask experienced parent leaders, because sometimes we have parents who are, they're very active in the school activities, and they could probably help some of the other parents who are struggling and be mentors to them. And I don't know whether or not you all have them in your communities, but it's always good to have a community multidisciplinary team to ensure that integrated assessment, planning, and services are provided to children, because as you well know, the children that you're serving are usually the children that Child Welfare Agency is serving. And so if you can come together and discuss some of the needs that they have in the school, and the child welfare worker can come together and talk about some of the other needs, you can really provide some support for the children and the families as a whole. And then also the tangible things that is always helpful is having small emergency clothes closet. I was talking to one of my colleagues who happened to have been abused and neglected when she was young, and she mentioned to me that she went to school on many days, and that I guess the teachers did not recognize the fact that she was coming to school, probably half clothed, or if she was clothed, the clothes were dirty. And so sometimes it's helpful to have small emergency clothes in the closet, because you just don't know what's going on in the household. She might have not had slept well in her home last night. She might have been homeless, but it's always helpful to have some emergency clothes. And I know that many of you are probably doing this already, is having the before and after school care. And I know that's so important especially for parents who are working and they're trying to get the kids to school. So it's always helpful for that. And then making the school available for support group meetings, whether it's for parents or whether it's for high school for students, or even kinship caregivers, grandparents who are raising their grandchildren at this particular point in time. Rosie?
So partnering with other systems is obviously very important. At the federal level, we partner with a variety of different systems, including courts, faith communities, business leaders, schools. We even partner with the military. And we also encourage our grantees and our states that we work with to do the same. So if you go on to the next slide.
Rosie, I forgot we had a poll.
Oh, we do have a poll, yes. Thank you for reminding me.
So, Scott, if you would initiate the first poll for us.
Okay, so the question is, have you participated in Child Abuse Prevention Month activities in your local community?
I don't know whether or not. Do I need to turn this over to him or?
No, I've got the polls running now. So we'll give it another minute or so. We've almost got, we're getting a majority of everybody voting now.
Okay, because I don't see it on my screen.
Okay, so it seems like a fourth of you have, but 3/4 of you haven't. So actually this is good that we're talking about this, and we'll talk a little bit later about some programs that you can connect with to be part of the effort.
Okay, moving on to the next slide.
Right, so partnering with other systems. So if you'll go to the next slide, these are just a few more examples of what you can do. So scheduling joint trainings with staff about protective factors. And for those of you that are not aware, so we use this protective factors approach to child abuse and neglect prevention. And this is really factors when present that help increase the health and well-being of children and families. So there's 6 that we really rely on, and we probably should have had a slide about this, but I'll just read them. So nurturing attachment, making sure that parents and children have a good attachment and parents are nurturing to their children. Number 2, knowledge of parenting and child development. So when parents have a good idea of when the child is supposed to develop and what happens when they go on to the next age, they're able to set boundaries better and not get so frustrated. And then parent resilience, so making sure that when families are faced with times of stress, that they have the ability to cope and make good decisions. Social connections, that parents have the ability to connect with other people, that they have groups that they can go with, or family members that they can talk to. The 5th one is concrete supports for parents, so that parents have housing, or if they need gas cards, or if they need access to a food bank, that they have those concrete supports they need. And then the 6th is understanding social and emotional competence of children. And this is in our resource guide that we'll talk about a little bit later, but so you can have some joint trainings with your staff about what you can put in place to help parents and families, and then seek opportunities to sponsor joint events with other agencies. And this partnering with the child welfare agency. So I know that both the school system and the child welfare system are very busy, and they have a lot of different roles that they need to take every day, but having this joint meeting I think would really help, and would help caseworkers be more comfortable with the school system, and school systems feel more comfortable with the child welfare system so that they could work together. Okay, so here are some resources that we wanted to share with you. So this website, it's the National Center for Community-Based Child Abuse Prevention. So this program, it's a grant program. It's about $50 million, and it's money given to every state for child abuse prevention activities. So some smaller states with a smaller population might get around $200,000. Some larger states, such as Texas or California, that have a larger population will get about $3 million. And again, they spend this on child abuse prevention activities and programs. So it might be for parenting education classes, home visiting, respite care, national campaigns. So they use some, or state and local campaigns, so they use some of their funding for National Child Abuse Prevention Month. And then this is the National Resource Center that provides training and technical assistance to the grantees, and they're called the Community-Based Child Abuse Prevention. And I really wanted to bring this program up because they are supposed to be the lead in their state for child abuse prevention. So the governor every year designates a state lead agency, and usually it's either the state child welfare agency, the state health department, maybe a nonprofit, and then that organization is responsible for making the funding decisions. So sometimes they might give local grants, but if you go on this website, and it's friendsnrc.org, you can find out who the contact person is in your state. You go to State Lead Agency Contacts, and you can contact them, and usually on their website they'll have resources that are local resources. And again, sometimes they are doing, well, every year they do their own efforts for Child Abuse Prevention Month. So you can contact them before and say, we'd like to do something with you for next year, or they can help with trainings. So that is something I think really important for all of you, to connect with that community-based child abuse prevention lead in your state. And you can also find a ton of other resources on here, especially our online learning community. So these are free online courses that you can take, and we just added about 3 or 4 new courses. And I think it would be really important for you to just take a look at the website.
Okay, so the next resource is my resource for my organization, Child Welfare Information Gateway. As I mentioned a little earlier, we are a service of the Children's Bureau, Department of Health and Human Services, and we have this website with a host of different topics. I'm not going to go into all of them, but you can see on the left-hand navigator here all of the ones that we have. Again, we have it on from child abuse and neglect, preventing, responding to child abuse and neglect. And you can just go on childwelfare.gov. We have publications that you can download or order, download and print them out, or you can order them. That will be helpful if you're trying to do a workshop or training, or if you have a conference or anything like that. We are very amenable to that, to assist you with that. But what I want to concentrate on right now is our Preventing Child Abuse and Neglect web section, which actually has the lead into the National Child Abuse Prevention Month and our resource guide, which I'm going to talk about in a few minutes. But on the website, you can go into click on any one of these, and get resources on how to promote child and family well-being. If you're looking for any type of public awareness or how to create supportive community, or some type of tools in regards to getting out the message on child abuse prevention, you can point to that. We also have prevention programs, and then also how to develop and sustain prevention programs. So if you go into the prevention program section, we have a host of different prevention programs, as Rosie was mentioning a few minutes ago, but we also have a section that talks about school-based prevention programs, and you can click on these and find out what certain organizations are doing in regards to school-based prevention programs. And so we just wanted to share with you what's on our website, and that could be helpful to you if you would like to plan some type of activity, that sort of thing. So on our website, we have our National Child Abuse Prevention Month for 2014. Again, our theme is making meaningful connection, and it's our logo for this time. Now, as Rosie was talking about the protective factors, and we have them listed here, and for each one of these, if you click on it, it will take you to that particular protective factor that would give you more information about them. And you can learn about it whether it's in English or in Spanish online. We are very happy and proud of our 2014 Prevention Resource Guide, Making Meaningful Connections. It is a partnership in developing this resource guide. We have national and state and local organizations assisting us in this process, as well as some parents. And what we have inside is information about the protective factors approach, how to work with families using the protective factors, how to engage your community. And then we have various tips for working with specific groups in the community, whether it's faith-based, school-based, military, even business and private organizations, medical, just so how you can work with them in providing prevention type of activities. And then we have another section of understanding child abuse and neglect, where we provide statistics about child abuse and neglect, but also information on how to help parents who might have been previously abused and had trauma from it themselves. And then we're very happy to present our parent tip sheets. Our parent tip sheets, excuse me just a minute. Our parent tip sheets are developed with in mind that you can take them out, copy them, and give them to the parents, whether they can put them on the refrigerator. And some of the tip sheets are on managing stress, how to manage their finances, how to help your child heal for trauma, bonding with your baby, dealing with temper tantrums, parenting your school-age child, how to connect with your teens. And we also have one on how with teens who have themselves have children. And so we have teen parents, you're not alone. And then we have a tip sheet that focuses with the fathers, 10 ways to be a better dad. And for grandparents or kin who are raising their kin children, raising your kin, working with military families. And then also we have one, parenting your child with developmental delays and disabilities. So each of these are various different parent tip sheets that are very helpful that you can use. Again, you can go to our website. You can download the resource guide, but you can also order a copy for yourself. When you go to the website, we have you can click on and say whether to order, and you can order one copy for yourself. And then we also have activity calendars in the back of the book that can be used daily for the month of April and probably throughout the year, activities that you can do with the parents. And so it tells you what you can do during that period of time. So we're very happy to present. A lot of work goes into this, and we're very proud of this particular product. We also have, this is our Child Abuse and Neglect User Manual. We have several series, but this one specifically is on the role of educators in preventing and responding to child abuse and neglect. This was developed years ago, but it's still very popular, and to the point that we ran out of copies of them. But you can download it if you go to the website here. You can actually download the actual manual to your computer. And these are some of the things that's on that particular in that particular manual about identifying reasons why educators are concerned about child abuse and neglect, recognizing it, reporting, and providing support after the report, and preventing child abuse and neglect. And then we just developed this one. This is very fresh. We just developed this last year. It's a fact sheet for educators on what is child welfare. So we will do something short that will be very helpful that you can hand out in workshops, what have you. It's very popular at our conferences, and it just concentrates on just some basic things about what is child welfare and how educators can assist child welfare agencies, as well as how child welfare workers can assist you all, and then a few resources in the midst. And then we have back in, I have my little note here. Back in fiscal year 1997, the Office of Child Abuse and Neglect at the Children's Bureau, they provided a 3-year grant to develop and implement demonstration projects that address child maltreatment, identification, prevention, and treatment in collaboration with preschool, elementary, and secondary school systems. So this particular synthesis describes the demonstration projects of 11 grantees and some of the key lessons learned about how child maltreatment prevention and intervention efforts can be enhanced through the involvement of school and school systems. And so even though it's pretty old, it's 2003, but it might give some ideas about how you could provide this type of information, how you can provide this type of program, and probably go after funding to produce your, this type of thing. Scott, I just realized that I passed one of our poll times. Do you want to do that now?
Sure, yeah, we can present those if you'd like.
Okay, the next one, I missed that one, but you can do the next one.
That's right, we'll do this one about the prevention guide.
Okay.
We're just asking if you'd just kind of seen who was aware of the prevention resource guide that Sharon talked about, available for download. And again, all the links that she is sharing now are on the slides you can download, and we'll make sure they're posted on the website with the recording and everything else. But just right now, we'd like to see how many of you were aware of this resource that was out there.
Okay.
It looks like we've about
some people who have.
Give a few more seconds for votes to come in. All right, here we go, and we'll show.
Okay. So it seems like we have 23% that said yes, and a lot of people, 77% said no. So, yeah, please do download it and get a copy of it for yourself. It goes very quickly. I just have to say that. So it is a popular thing. I'm going to go through the next few slides, and then we can do the last poll, okay?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Okay, let's see. So we have over 30 national child abuse prevention partners nationwide, from national, state, local, but in the interest of time, because it would be too much to try to share with you everybody, I want to highlight at least two right now that you might be familiar with. Prevent Child Abuse America, excuse me, have chapters in every state, and they have the Pinwheel campaign that they do every year. Many communities have lined their grounds with pinwheels to unite us all in the effort to prevent child abuse and neglect. And it also reminds us that all children should and deserve to live healthy and happy full lives. They have a variety of different resources on their website, and they partner with us as well with the resource guide. And we also have quarterly meetings, and so they're a great resource to us as well. Besides from them, we also have another partner called the Children's Trust, the National Alliance, Children's Trust and Prevention Fund. Excuse me. They offer a variety of programs, but one thing that they have right now online that you can do it online and in person is a training on the protective factors called Bringing the Protective Framework to Life in Your Work. You can go online and do it, or you can contact them and they'll come out and do it in person with you as a group as well. But we have a variety from Stop It Now. I just can't even think of all the ones that we do have, but they also are listed in our resource guide book if you're interested, as well as federal agencies that are a part of our partners as well. And so, Scott, I have the next slide, which is for questions, but if you want to, can you do the last poll, and then we'll open up the lines for questions, I guess. Excuse me.
Yeah, here we go. Here's the final poll. You just want to gauge the audience as well, see what you are aware of in your community that you can share with families. What resources do you take advantage of that you use? I want to see what you guys are aware of. Okay, looks like we've got everybody submitted an answer. So here we'll show the results.
So I think this is important because if you are not aware of more than one or two, to really see what other community resources are out there, so that if you feel like a child comes in hungry to school or there's something else going on, you can say, hey, let's learn about what community resources are out there to help families. And as children become more aware of them, they can share it with their parents, and then they have access to them. Or if you're at a parent-teacher conference and you just have a list of different community resources there to help people, I think you can do it in a way that makes the parent feel comfortable or makes the children feel comfortable.
Yeah. Let's see. I see a question online here. It says here, can there be more than one contact for each state? If so, do they tell you the area they cover? And I wonder if they're talking about the state CBCAP lead.
Right. So I think you are talking about our community-based child abuse prevention lead. There's actually just one lead in every state, but if you contact them, then they can tell you about some of the local efforts in the local area that you're in. So if you're in a smaller city or a smaller region of the state, they can let you know what programs or activities or services are out there. And if there aren't any, it's a great way to partner. All the leads are very passionate about their work. They're very hardworking, and they're always excited to bring on new partners.
So we are open for any questions, any other comments, whether by phone or they can type them in. So I'll turn it back over to you, Scott.
Yes, thank you, Sharon.
And actually,
thank you,
this is
Rosie.
Rosie, and I did want to... Sorry, Scott, I did want to say one other thing. So we, couple years, well, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, we started this child welfare early Head Start work group, and we really tried to improve efforts partnering with the Head Start folks, and we really talked through a lot of the challenges, and some of the challenges were this confidentiality and how much can child welfare share with the school systems, and how much can the school system share with child welfare. So if you feel like that is a problem, there are a lot of resources out there to address that as well.
Thank you, Rosie, and thank you, Sharon, for putting together this wonderful list of resources and websites and PDFs and documents and everything that I'm sure a lot of educators will find can come in handy. Again, all of you attending, if you have any questions, please type them in. We did record this webinar. The slides, again, are available. We'll send a follow-up email with all this information and with all these resources. And again, Rosie and Sharon, if there's any additional resources, anything else you think of, we can make sure we send that out to this group as well. But I have a question for both of you. With all of your experience in social services and working with kids and families and communities, I just kind of want to ask let's see how to word the question. What are some experiences you've had, or what are some rewarding, I guess, experiences that you've had with in your history, in your experience, that have kind of helped to I'm not asking this very well, but I'm just kind of wondering, well, what sort of experiences you've had that have shown that we're making a difference, and that we can stop the cycle of.
Okay. Yeah, I can answer one part of that. When I was working in the state of Maryland, we had I worked with a lot of kinship caregivers, and that's relatives raising their kin children, and so we had a kinship care resource center, and of course, but the support groups are very helpful. We had a support group for the caregivers, but we also had a support group for parents. We had one for the children because they needed some time to talk, and I think it helps when they know that they're not alone in the issues that they're going through, whether it's a parent and they can share. And so it was very helpful to bring them together and then bring in people that could come and talk to them about some of the issues that they're going through. And so you'd be surprised how many people are very happy to come in and sometimes the support group meeting was, like after 3 or 4 o'clock or on the weekend, and they'll come. And if they have any legal issues, we had attorneys to come and talk with them. We had sometimes social services to come to share about early childhood and how to apply for the subsidized child care funding, just a variety of different things. I think it's very helpful, and it helped them. They were happy, and they felt empowered to know. Once they get the resources, once they know that what's out there, they felt empowered and say, okay, I didn't know this, but now that I do know this, they can take some steps for themselves. So that's what was helpful to me, and that's just one of the things. And Rosie, you might have something else.
Well, and I did want to kind of add to that. So I think over the last 10 to 15 years, we've really, and child welfare in general, has really moved to this family-centered strengths approach. So really trying to find what are the strengths of families. I mean, every family has some strengths, whether they have a lot of issues or problems that they're dealing with. There's something good there that you can build upon. So, and I don't know if we mentioned this in a way that you can work with the child welfare agencies, but a lot of child welfare agencies have these family team decision-making meetings. So, for example, if the family comes to the attention of the child welfare system, whether the case is founded or not founded, they're supposed to, and most of the counties do, it depends on the county, have these team decision-making meetings where the parents can invite people that are supportive in their lives, and then they have some community members there. But teachers should really be part of that. And, I would definitely encourage you all to reach out to your child welfare agencies to see if they have, and it's called a different name in every county or city government, but they have these meetings to say, okay, what should be our plan for the family, and how can everybody help with this? So I do think this strengths-based approach is really important. And I think that's something that teachers can do, is find something really positive. And you probably do this with the children that you teach every day. If you have, a child that really struggles, if you can find something good, and they might remember that nice comment that you had or that gold star that they received, and the parents will remember that as well. If you said, your child behaved really well this week, you must be doing something different in your home, and whatever you're doing is really working, because I see that they're happy.
I see that there's a question here. It says, I'm interested in a webinar on how to recognize, and I'm assuming recognize child abuse and neglect. And we can also do that as well, if that's what they were talking about, because we do have resources on that, and we can also share information about that. There's another question here. It says, I'm not quite sure. Okay. Is it true that DCS, I'm assuming Department of Children's Services, can be denied talking to a student at school? And I'm not familiar with that, where you're calling from. Normally, we try to, I know when I was doing Child Protective Services, the school was a neutral place that was very easy to talk to the child. If the child had been, if a report came in and said that the child had been abused or neglected, we could talk to the child alone, and the child wouldn't feel intimidated about having like a parent or whoever it was that might have abused and neglected them to be around. I'm not aware of it, the school denying access to the child, because usually we try to partner with the school, and that's the whole point of the collaboration piece of it. But I'm not aware of that personally. Let me see. Okay, there's another question here. I think it's what to look for. I'm looking at these questions. What to look for to recognize possible abuse. Okay, I guess that's again about the recognizing skill. Okay. Is there a certificate provided for this webinar? So Scott, that's your question. They want to know about a certificate for this webinar.
Yes, and you know, I'll address that quick. If any of you are interested in any kind of PD credits and a certificate of attendance, let me know. We will make one available to everyone that attended. So watch for that in a follow-up email. You can also email me at online@schoolimprovement.com if you have any questions.
And I also see another question about how often is our national conference held. So it's every 2 years, and then it's in a different city. So last time it was in DC, this time it's New Orleans, and then we pick a new city for 2 years from now.
Okay. I see here that someone mentioned here about you said will you send the PowerPoint after the webinar, so I think you addressed that. And someone also mentioned, yes, recognizing child abuse and neglect webinar. So Scott, I guess that's on you as far as you organizing that one. So.
And Sharon, this is Rosie. I mean, I feel like there probably are some really good online trainings. Do you have that through the Child Welfare Information Gateway?
Here's what I was going to try to do. If we got a couple of minutes, let me do this. If you all can see on the website here. Okay. Yeah. Now there are some online trainings that you can get to connect to. I pulled up our website here. Let me see if I can. Are you all seeing this on the web? Are you seeing this on the?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm trying to see if we have. Let's see. I'm not trying to. So I just want to show them that these are some of the prevention programs that we have. Mm-hmm. But as you can see, there's a whole lot. The school-based supportive housing, that sort of thing. Training, we do have some online training. We don't do it ourselves. In fact, we usually, let me see, let me go back out.
But I also feel we have some good tip sheets or one-pagers addressing what to look for or signs of child abuse neglect that I think would be helpful to the group.
Yes. So we have a learning center if you're interested in it. Okay, and there is an online that we do offer here. It's about parent-child visits, but we also link to the protective factors online, and then we also have our professional development section that provides training models that you can go to and look for different types of trainings as well. Publications, as I mentioned before, you can just go here real quick. I'm just going to try to, we've got a little bit of time. We have on what's new right off the bat is about mandatory reporting. But if you're looking for specific series, fact sheets, or professional bulletins, you can go here. to look up professional bulletins or fact sheets on particular topics. I'm just going to check, but it's all in alphabetical order. And so you have here some of the long-term consequences of child abuse and neglect, how to preventing child abuse and neglect. Let's see. I'm not quite sure. Okay. Here's one and where you can get what is child abuse and neglect, recognizing the signs and symptoms that someone was talking about. Mm-hmm. You can click on here, download the PDF right onto your computer and copy it out, and you have it right there. We have it in English and in Spanish. This is the document I was just talking to you about a guide for educators. So there are some fact sheets here available to you. Where, like I said, it's whatever you need is right here. If we don't have it, we do have also a librarian available, and we also have a chat. You can chat with us to find out if you don't see something online. It doesn't necessarily mean we don't have it, but you can chat with us or go to our library, and they can help find what you might be looking for. But I just wanted to share that with you, and as well as let's go to this is our National Child Abuse Prevention Month website. And as I mentioned before about the resource guide, we have them in chapters online, but you can come here and download it, or you can also go here and just order a copy, and it will be mailed out to you within 5 to 7 days. You'll get it. So it's just very good information that would be helpful to you in regards to child abuse and neglect. And then also, we also have a video gallery. We did a video last year. In fact, it featured Rosie is in there that talks about the child abuse prevention, and we featured at least 3 local organizations that is actually doing it. So it's good to watch. It's about, 5-10 minutes long, but it's worth looking at it. And then if you're looking for what's going on in your state, we do have some states here that have their own videos, and you can download them and take a look at them as well. Let's see. I think we got some more questions coming in. I'm not quite sure. I just want to make sure we didn't miss anybody. So what is the difference between neglect and a family's lack of financial? And you know what? That's a very good question. Because neglect, as you noticed earlier when we showed the slide, the majority of the numbers were neglect. And neglect is a fine line because a lot of times it may not be that the parent is trying to be neglectful, but it could be because of their financial or lack of resources that they have. So, they might be homeless. They may not have enough food in their household. They may not have income coming in. And so then you have a child that's being neglectful, which is the reason why you play such a positive role in providing support or getting them connected to those support services. Because they might be neglecting, but it might be not by choice. It may be because they just don't have it and they need assistance. And so they may be too proud to reach out, but that's where you as teachers and educators can reach out and say, here, let me help you. Here's a resource list. Let me make a call to the food bank or to the clothes closet or whoever, and let me help you to get this done, instead of calling, say, CPS, and this woman is neglecting their child. And it may not, nobody wakes up and say, I think this is the day I'm going to abuse my child or I'm going to neglect my child. I don't think that. I think people really, truly are sincere about wanting to care for their child. But sometimes the stress of life comes in, and we as a community need to pull together to make sure that we are providing the support that they need. And I hope that answered your question. I don't know if you want to chime in, Rosie.
No, I think that was a great answer. And I think that it might have been asked because when we say child abuse, we say neglect. And I think that we do want to put a big emphasis on it because it's such a high number of the cases that are founded for, that come into the system.
Okay, all right. Let's see. Nobody wants to talk to us. I guess everybody's online.
I think we're at about our 4 o'clock Eastern time mark. So Scott, I'm not sure if.
I hope everybody heard this our discussion and that it was helpful to you. And please, if you have any questions, do not hesitate to, like I said, go online and you can chat with us online, or you can always, I forgot, sorry, let me pull it back up. And here's our contact information. If you have any questions, you can always email us as well.